I am so excited to share with you today how to build a bulletproof tax team. This slideshow is really important to me. It's information that I've built over the years throughout my career. And the reason why it's so important to me is I found that business owners have a confused way of looking at the field of how to hire properly for their business. Now, the effect of this information today is that it will help you grow. And what happens is that you're going to have a clearer picture on the depth of what each of these positions do so that you can see what suits you and where you're at in your business. In this webinar, I'm going to show you how to build the bulletproof tax team. By the end of our time together, you're going to be able to make the right decisions. And when you're able to make the right decisions, you're able to grow, to scale, and feel like you're moving forward in business. I'm hoping you could turn off all distractions and be able to really give me your full attention. Whether you're live or watching the replay, I want you to be able to really get the fullest of this so that when you are looking to do something, that you're able to have the right information at your fingertips. So a little bit about me. My company offers highly customized solutions designed to take your business to the next level. We use cutting edge techniques along with being your trusted partner for enhanced growth. We put in automation, truly class leading customer experience on every possible way. My mission is to help business owners truly increase profits, save time, and stimulate growth. And through my visionary skills and abilities, I've been able to lead various companies along my career. So I like to start off my webinars with a very fun question, is something like, just to get the tunes loose here, because what happens is that people go into a webinar and they think it's almost like school, sitting into a box. So I was just curious, what is your favorite social media? Even if you're watching the replay, do me a favor and hit reply and let me know. If you want to share also about what you do, to let me know more about yourself. Through the social media concept, we could learn a lot of things, but just to get that more intimate connection, I would be so grateful. So let me know what your social media fave is. My fave is LinkedIn. I go on Instagram probably more for like entertainment, even though I do think that it's up and coming, but I prefer LinkedIn. You could feel panicked about this situation. You also can feel a lot of fear. I've been talking to a lot of business owners and looking at how they hire, and these are common things that I see what's happening when it comes to this area. I also see a lot of overwhelm where they call all these functions of bookkeeping, and really it goes into CFO beyond what a bookkeeper can really handle. So you may think it's impossible to have all in one, but we will help you so that you see that you're going to be able to do it. Now, I actually just got off the call with a client, and he was telling me about he's sick of being in a rut about things and that people don't understand where he's coming from, because he'll pay for aspects of accounting, but he doesn't see the global standpoint. That's what this is about today. And this is what my company along the years has specialized in, to be that leader in services in that way. So there's no reason for your taxes expense to be a guess. And through strategies, we help you reduce that burden and make it more of a smooth sailing journey for you and your business and your family. Now, so you see where this webinar is going, and they're going to start with bookkeeping. Then we're going to lead to what the duties of a bookkeeper is. Then we're going to move into accounting, because people have a habit of calling accounting bookkeeping, bookkeeping accounting. They switch it so many times. And they just have this theory that all of these functions one person can do. In many ways they can. However, one person still has the limit of 2 hands and about 40 hours a week, even if they work overtime, just the capabilities of what's realistic. After that, I want to teach you about CFO duties. And then I want to show you what the difference is, so that really you can see where you are and just think about the steps. I hope you got our gift. In our gift, I shared tips and tricks and my secrets in terms of areas within bookkeeping and accounting. So I hope you enjoy that. And if there's any questions, reply to our message so that I can help you on those questions. And really, after all of this, it's kind of like, what do you do next? And then if there's some Q&A, I'd love to stick around and help for that too. So let's jump in. And the first act is the function of bookkeeping. Tax and accounting duties are often segregated, and this partly to reduce fraud. Now, lots of times people segregate it and they want to put it together because they think it's just easier, but we separate the functions to avoid fraud, partly to ensure strong financial controls, because what happens is one person gets to report to the other. It helps tax accounting professionals really just offer different services to their customers in a more hyper-focused way. Bookkeeping is the process of daily transactions in a consistent way. So a common thing that I have with clients when they start this is that they don't really look at their credit card bill. They don't track the credit card bill, let alone even open the credit card bill. A lot of people are just paying it, but they don't realize that's the gold of where the money is to really help and see what's happening. Now, even if I wasn't an accounting professional, like I remember the way, years ago, like I used to look at my credit card bill, like I would have like this panic. But now when you plan for things, you don't have to have it that way. It's also a key component gathering your financial information to run a successful business when you record your daily transactions. So it sounds like almost like a power key, like at the board, at the keyboard, really just pounding away at posting them. But it's a very important it's a very important part in the steps of the journey for you to really realize that it's not just anybody to do it. After this, the question is really what does a bookkeeper actually even do? So good bookkeepers, usually they use some type of system and they use some type of software. And there are too many out there that are still clinging on to spreadsheets instead of a software. The importance of a software is that you have the tools and the boundaries and the foundations of the program to guide you on things. So like reporting doesn't have to be a problem. Reconciliations are accurate. They have places to put for like a cash balance versus a book balance. And these things actually help you pay your bills on time and other things, in your daily lives. They also differ from other accountants because they predominantly data entry professionals, while accountants are finance experts who are able to offer expert advice. So a bookkeeper is really putting it in, but they may not be able to give you that mirror reflection of what's actually happening in your business financials. They record financial transactions. They post debits and credits. Debits is what comes out of your bank account and credits is what comes in, like your income, any type of deposit. They produce invoices. So invoices could be for accounts receivable, paying your client, getting money from your clients, and things of that nature. They can prepare the financial statements. However, that's like a function within the program. They maintain balances, subsidiaries, general ledgers, and they complete payroll. It's about like just doing the function. It doesn't necessarily mean that they can help you with staying compliant. Let's say in payroll, all the documents. Over the years, many bookkeepers have taken on specific skill sets to enhance their value. However, knowing really what each category does for you is important so that you can realize that with the support of your family finances and your business. So I'm going to jump into the accounting. And the reason why I say your family finances is like, just the call I was on right before this webinar. It's a husband and wife really who have a lot of different income generating activities. And they have multiple entities. They have a foundation. They have a trust. However, they don't have anybody like a tax strategist to really make sure that they're paying the least amount of tax as possible. So, it becomes interesting because people have the higher level parts, but the day-to-day parts of the micromanagement, people don't know. And it's really without the right knowledge that I see a lot of this is the reason why. Accounting is a higher level process where it's compiled by the business owner or the bookkeeper to produce those models. Now, lots of times, the accountant is taking it from a higher level process to review what the bookkeeper does. It can be two individual people again. However, you need to be really, really careful if you're going to combine these functions. Accountants occupy a mid-level position in the accounting department, reporting to account managers, controllers, chief financial officers. More about some of those roles in the coming weeks. So, if you're on our blog list, we wrote it like that is because, what happens is like on our newsletters, we constantly put out information about that, which reminds me actually of another story of someone I was talking to yesterday. And he was talking about one of my videos where, his chief financial officer wasn't really telling him about that the person who was working for him really wasn't an employee, they were an independent contractor. And he had both situations where it became very, very confusing. So giving him that knowledge was so key to make sure he was compliant and not getting into tax trouble. So in accounts also, they oversee or perform the billing. So they can have very specific tasks split between the bookkeeper and the accountant. They make general ledger entries, which is what I was telling you about the debits and credits. They handle payroll. They could be gathering the hours and inputting it into the program. However, making sure the math is correct, making sure there's enough money is more of an accountant function than a bookkeeper. Now, lots of times on the bookkeeper level, people have their assistants doing it because they feel that it's a low level position or they don't want to pay. Now, I can get into a whole webinar on, what's the right fees and stuff. The right fee is the person that you trust, who's going to service you and understands you and your business. That's really what it's about, because what I see consistently when people don't hire properly is that they end up paying more taxes instead of hiring properly for their business. Now, preparing adjusting entries is recording expenses that have occurred but aren't yet recorded in the bookkeeping process. Lots of times this happens when people mix business and personal and they want it on the business side. So an accountant is going to be able to help you track that. It's not a year-end duty. It's a function that you're doing as you go along so that you can be in real time. You don't have that year-end rut that a lot of people do. When you're doing it monthly, it happens in the present time and you're able to monitor it from that point instead of it being from, the back end of the back seat point. Now, an accountant also helps you review your financial statements so that they can give you a deeper eye on what they see is happening in the business. They also help you analyze costs of operations. They can be their liaison for tax returns. They're aiding the business owner understanding the impact of financial decisions. Now, let's talk about that part for a second. It is so key. I mean, if I had like a penny even for across my journey of how many people told me, understanding the impact of the financial decisions in their big picture, how important that is, that they didn't realize that probably till 10 years after, and really realizing the 10-card pileup of this, they would have saved so much money or just been in a clearer, healthier financial spot to not feel like money was ruling their life. Smaller companies, the difference between a bookkeeper and accountant lots of times is really blurred because they just take that knowledge from like a coffee date and then they apply it into the job ad instead of taking it from somebody who is in the journey, to really help you hire properly. But as the company grows, the demarcation between these roles, it becomes clearer and clearer and really pertinent to making decisions. I'll tell you, so the person who I was just speaking to, it just happens to be so clear, he was telling me how much he spends in each area. However, there's no person globally seeing everything. So really what happens is that those areas that have individual parts, they probably are done right. Like if we would just look at this from that standpoint, but it's not really taken into an account of everything that this man and wife have to have, that they have. In my experience, companies that have over 250,000 will be able to benefit from an accountant, whereas smaller companies, they really benefit more from a bookkeeper. And Lots of times it really is a case-by-case basis, because sometimes companies that are smaller, do have the cash support from like a line of credit or family or their own wealth or something like this. But in the gauge of like 250,000, you want to start thinking about a higher level person to support you in your business tasks. So I'm throwing a lot of information at you, and I find that I talk fast. So again, whether you're live or the replay, I'm just curious how you're feeling. And, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, Margot, this is a lot. It is. It is. Make sure to tell me that so that I know what part is, so that I can help break that down for you even more. And this information, even more so, is just so important, because when you hire wrong, you're not using the funds properly of your business. And then the results are getting deeper and deeper and farther away in the journey to really get your business finances under control. And most people have this, that it's like year end, or it's like this, one day I'm going to get it straight. But today is the day, because I'm happily sharing this information with you. So my favorite part is the CFO duties, which is the majority of what I do. The reason why a lot of people love to work with my company is because I get to help them from the bookkeeping standpoint over to the CFO plus. Now, in my company, I have it separated, those functions, so that globally the client doesn't really have to micromanage it, and they're having a CFO look at the bookkeeping functions and not really have to worry if they're doing it right. And the reason why I put my structure that way is because too many times I'm seeing people have it not the way that will support them in their business finances. So the chief financial officer is the officer of the company that has primary responsibility for managing the company's finances. So let's look at the slide for a second. It includes financial planning, management of risks, record keeping, and financial reporting. It's a lot, right? It's a lot. I have to say, within MBS, we do multiple companies. So at times it could feel overwhelming. I'm just being honest. However, it is such a rewarding job showing clients these multiple areas. And I say that because when clients see what they already have, without keep wanting more and more and more of the race of this world of wanting more income and more and more and more, they rest into the fact of systems and processes within each of these areas. So something like financial planning is, looking at the big goals, management of financial risks, if they want to invest in something, a new worker, new software, right? Like sometimes clients that need to do a lot of research for things, they decide that they want to look into hiring somebody for this, and it's a complete expense. Now, they just think it's going to move the company forward, but they're not realizing the risk and the overall part. And lots of times people will put that before accounting help, which really, not that it's comical to me, but it's just that it hurts my soul because what happens is that even if you hire someone on a part-time basis, and that collaboration is going to help you so much. Now, building a top-notch finance and accounting team is really something valuable. These tasks can be hired part-time. They don't have to be hired in a full-time capacity. It's a matter of just communicating it so that we can get you that right recipe. Ensuring revenues and expenses stay in balance, keeping things like not in a past due stand, seeing the planning part, making recommendations, obtaining funding. For my real estate developers out there and my investors, lots of times they're raising money and capital for buildings. I was actually just talking to somebody the other day, and he was telling me that being able to follow these things, how these guys run on entities, are they partnerships, all of these things, it's important when you're making an agreement in a bigger standpoint, because guys are like, they'll make an agreement and then they're like, all right, buddy, we'll talk soon about it. They just want to know that the deal is happening, but securing the right finances and those details around it is really what's key, because you want to keep the money in your pocket. So a client of mine told me this a few weeks ago, maybe it's a month ago, I don't even remember. She called me the CFO angel, because there were so many things that I helped her hyper focus on that I felt was important. And it led her to the journey of, the big picture for her and her family. So I appreciated hearing that, and I wanted you to see that. Now, I'm going to talk about the CFO services in depth here so that you can get an idea of what, if you hire specifically just for CFO, what they do. They streamline functions, they help you with the forecast, and they identify growth. Now, I would say any CFO work I do, probably the most I do is in the growth, because people always want to do multiple entities. They want more income. Now, what happens from the growth, it builds into the forecasting and streamlining functions, because when you know where the growth is, you know how to streamline the functions so that it's very, very hyper focused and specific. So streamlining functions could be minimizing expenses, optimizing efficiency, and increase margins. I had a client years ago when I first met him. I shared with him that I didn't think he needed to make more money. I think he needed to really just do systems and processes. You might have heard this story before, and I say it so many times because it actually happened probably, I think, with somebody else too. But really what happened is that he realized how much money he was saving without doing more. And when he did that, forecasting and the growth became so much easier. So again, depending on where you are, these tasks will be important to you. Enhanced reporting, it's basically you have the information that you need. You're not waiting just for the tax return. And a lot of people don't even understand their tax return. They're like, okay, you say I should do that, Margot? Okay, I'll do that. Or you think I should do that? Okay, I'll do that. You know, but you're really having reporting so that by the time the tax return comes, it's like almost old information. Now, the risk analysis and the trend analysis of this information is key, because you really want to know where things are at to make the educated decisions. So I actually forgot about this part. So meaningful communication. Now, I have weekly calls with almost all of my clients, and with some incidentals that might happen, and they love the calls because it keeps them on track. It's like the coaching calls. It's like you have a coach, so it's like your CFO coach, to really just help you keep the focus, set the priorities, and look forward on everything. It's really, it's taking your tasks and seeing like what might seem like an emergency, and really looking at it from a different angle together. Now, our CFO program, I'm just putting it in here as an example, so just so that you see, is that what we do is that in between our phone calls, we give you unlimited Voxer access to me, so that what happens is that, let's say something happens where you're in the middle of a deal, or you think of something and you want to ask on Voxer. What happens is that it's easier to communicate that way, and it's a different way than a phone call. We all have schedules and so busy, and I found that helpful. At first, we make sure to have regular calls. Sometimes we go to biweekly. Now, we make sure to tell you how response time is within 24 hours so that it's timely. Now, what I do is with all my VIP clients is that we do this one-day virtual where they fly in, or it's virtual, where we do strategic planning. Now, this is a chance to spend the day together, but it's somebody renamed it like in a different way. It's like to get shit done. And forgive me for talking like this, or get stuff done. It's a way to really, things that are on the back burner that may not happen, really do it and spend the time. You can split the time in all sorts of ways. I'm in the middle of one now, with a client, and she liked the breakup because then she got to really digest what we were doing, because it was a lot of information. Now, this is like the highest level in our company, and these are some of the things, but not limited to, what I do. We give proactive strategic advice. We help with raising capital. Now, the proactive advice is really if you have a goal and you're working on something, is talking about it so that you can make a plan and there's no surprises. There's nothing worse than surprises, especially bills that we then have to cover, and it becomes like a panic. Also, we're there for your financial system, for business plans, NDAs, being helping you with the HR component, the looking at the profits, the sales expansion, cost reduction, the margins. Unfortunately, people don't realize the margins in all of this. And this is probably one of they're all actually functions that I do, but the sales margin increase, is probably something that I instill to my business owners so much that they need to focus on that and to help them do just that. Now, the question is I told you bookkeeping, I told you accounting, I told you CFO, and you're like, what's the difference? And where do I go from here? Now, it really all comes down to interpretation of your company's financial information. And particularly in small companies, but the difference between a bookkeeper and accountant is blurred, but hyper focused on these roles. Like I shared this slide again, just so that, you really see that the importance to this, to take the time. The activities in our workbook will probably help you get to a lot of these answers. Now, what do you do next? So we want you to come into our Facebook community. What we have here is, just a group putting some content out there to help, put you into action every day, and some tips and tricks. The next part is I want you to have a call with me. I want you to really have increased profit, and I really want you to have like a roadmap to what you do so that you can get the abundance and the massive profit that you're looking for. So whether you're live or replay, I really want you to take advantage of this call. Now, this call is a timely call. So, I'm only going to be able to do so many. I work to give as much value as possible. And because you attended the webinar, it's going to be complimentary. Now that you heard this information, you need to see bookkeeping record strategies, preparation strategies. Are you ready for tax planning? I mean, I'm only doing this free for this webinar. And I can tell you that it's my gift to you for your interest in this and really spending the time and giving me the opportunity to let you share the information of my experience and help you. Now, maybe I'm not that person after the call that you want to continue with, but at least I'm putting you onto the road and I'm giving you value. And this is what it's about. It's helping people, business owners, and even from a family wealth standpoint, or if you're a developer, investor, some type of professional service, really get the right support so that you can move your business forward. I actually had an interesting call about this the other day from like a career services place where somebody found me and he's like, Margot, he goes, it's so interesting what you do. And he wanted me to learn, he wanted me to share it more. Now, what he said to me was, which is exactly what I was thinking. He was like, people are just not hiring properly. And that's why the positions are not being filled. If you go to like these directory ads and whatever, these classifieds, there's loads and loads of these. And they're all labeled bookkeeper. They're all labeled bookkeeper. And, it's somebody getting down and dirty to doing financial reporting. And the person who's doing bookkeeping is not capable of the higher level part. So I want to help you. I want to know where you're at, get to know you and see what I can give you in terms of strategies and stuff like that to set you onto the path and increase things for you. So you're going to see that the investment pays for itself when you actually get on board to the services and really see what it's about. Because when you do that roadmap that I'm talking about, you see how many areas that we need to touch on so that you can really see what's the priority to work on. And this is why my gift to you, I chose because I felt that it was the connecting step to really help you in your journey. So again, you heard this amazing information. I'm so excited. If any part of this that you want to rewatch or ask questions, please do. I would so encourage you to reply to the message and let me know, or if you can, let me know your questions. You can reply however, it works for you. There's so many different parts to this, and where you are is so important so we can plan the priorities. Here we are about 30 days before the end of the year, and there's still time for tax planning strategies to instill it. But if you don't have bookkeeping, the strategies are going to be becoming more complicated, but we can talk about all of that. So my gift to you for interest in that, and, the sooner you do it, the sooner you put more money in your pocket. And, people have this on their list for like a really long time, but I want to tell you is like, the sooner you take that step and you walk into that, the freedom is on the other side. I remember when I did this at first for something of my company from one of my colleagues, he talked about it. And like, I just remember like, I was like in a panic, and I tell you, it was so instrumental that I was able to take that concept and over the years really refine it to where my company was going. And I want to be able to give you that gift, to have for yours. So it's my gift to you from this webinar. You can schedule either by emailing me, or we have in the email a scheduling link. You can do either. I put the email so that you can share with me if there's specific times that will accommodate you that may not be on my calendar. And I will do my best to make sure to find a way to make it as easy as possible for you. And, I really thank you for attending, and I really want you to have this call with me so that I can really help you on the next step, so that you can have the proper foundations, you can have the proper support for your business, and really plan so that you could sleep good at night, plan, and feel like you have all the abundance and all the blessings that you're looking for. Again, I'm Margot Massery, your heartfelt CFO, and I thank you for this opportunity, and I'm excited to hear from you.